All right, so 13.1, measures of central tendency. First thing that we'll look at is the mean, which is another word for average in statistics. And so the same way you would find the average is the same way you would find the mean. Like I said, in statistics, they call it the mean. So you add all your data values, divide by the number of data values that you have. So if my data set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I add up 1 through 5 and then divide it by 5. And my mean is 3. All right, any problems with that one? All right, median, you can think about middle or middle value. Your median, to find your median, you list all your data values from least to greatest. And always remember that step because a lot of times people forget that. And that first step is very important. You list all your data values from least to greatest. Then if the number of data values is odd, you take the middle value. If the number of data values is even, you take the mean of the two middle values. So I'll show you what that means in a second. All right. So if my first data set is 1 through 5, that's an odd number of data values. That's what I have over here in the green. 5 data values is odd. So since it's odd, that means I actually have a middle value. So I would take the middle value, which is 3. All right. But let's say the second data set is 1 through 6. Now I have an even number of data values. So that means I don't actually have a middle value to pick. So I take the two middle values, add them together, divide by 2, and that'll give me 3.5. All right, any questions? All right. All right, in mode is the data value that appears the most or the most frequent. It is possible to not have a mode. It's possible to also have more than one mode. All right, bimodal is having two modes, and multimodal is having more than two modes. All right, so here's the data set. 5178235 769 147 789. My mode would be 7 because 7 appears the most frequently. All right, questions? Any questions? All right. All right, so that's it for 13.1. Problems before we take a look at 13.2. All right. 13.2, measures of dispersion. Dispersion is the degree to which the data is spread out. You know, how much your data is dispersed. All right. First way of measuring dispersion is finding the range. Take the largest value minus the smallest value. So if my data set was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, largest value is 5, smallest value is 1, so it's 5 minus 1, and that's 4. All right, standard deviation measures how far a data value is from the mean. Remember, the mean is another word for average. And your variance is the standard deviation squared. Also is another way to measure the spread of data. All right. Let's still holding on to variance. All right, so notation. X will always represent your data value. Now in statistics, Your population will have different types of notation or different symbols versus your sample. And if you're talking about what's your population instead of in comparison to your sample, if you look at TCC, not TCC, Norfolk State student body, uh, everybody in the student body is the population, and this class will be a sample of that population. All right. So when you talk about the population mean, that's Greek letter mu. Kind of looks like a U, but it has an extended stem on the left side. But that's Greek letter mu. That's the population mean. Uh, circle with that stem sticking out is lowercase sigma. I know most of you probably know what capital sigma is. That's over here. That actually represents the summation, the adding up of all values, capital sigma. But lowercase sigma is the population standard deviation. Then your variance is your standard deviation squared. And capital N represents your population size. All right. Sample mean is X bar. Whenever you have a bar over your letter, that's that letter bar. So that's X bar. And this is just lowercase s, which is your sample standard deviation. S squared is your sample variance. And then lowercase n is your sample size. So that's your notation. And you use certain ones depending on, like I said, whether you're dealing with the sample or your population. All right. Any questions? Oh, no. All right. So I'm not going to hold you to actually knowing how to calculate the standard deviation by hand using a formula, using the actual formula, because it can get a little involved, especially once you go over 20 data values. But what I will hold you to is making sure that you have an app, a calculator, website that will help you to calculate the standard deviation or the variance. All right. So the suggestion to that is easycalculation.com. So I can show you a way you can just reemphasize a way you can look that up. Give you guys a chance to finish writing. Once again, I don't care what method you use, whether it's an app on your phone, your calculator, or you use a website. Just make sure that whatever you use is reliable and it's giving you the correct answers. And you would check that, when you go through WebAssign, putting in your answers, making sure you're getting the right ones. So hopefully you'll get that practicing before the actual test is concerned. All right. Anybody still copying? Okay. So all I would do is Google standard deviation, easy calculation. And the first one is easycalculation.com. And then you can type in your data values, separate them by comma, and it'll find it for you. So in other words, I just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and hit calculate. And there it gives me my sample standard deviation sample variance, population, standard deviation, population variance. All right. So once again, you would just Google standard deviation. You can either do standard deviation easy calculation if you want to use easycalculation.com, or just calculator, standard deviation calculator, and stuff will pop up. Once again, you can use apps. So there are some free apps that you can use as well. If you're doing more than just typing in the data values and hitting enter, then you're doing too much. So, you just want to be able to type in the data values, hit enter. See right here, there's our formula actually for it. So yeah. All right, questions, concerns, comments on anything I've said. Oh, another one that you can test it by was 2, 4, 7, 12, 15. All right. So just going back to the page. So I typed in 2, 4, 7, 12, 15 and hit enter. And then it gave it to me. So just make sure you pay attention to the directions they want the sample, standard deviation versus the population, standard deviation and variance. So. All right. Questions. All right. So that's 12.1, 12.2. We don't have to do anything else. That's good enough for today's 2 sections. As I said before, make sure you guys are getting there, getting this stuff done. If you have any questions, make sure you get with me. Outside of that, any other questions before we close out?
Could you scroll back up to range really quick?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So if you guys are good with me, I'm good. I'll let him finish copying that. Outside of that, if you don't have anything else, I will see you in next class. Be safe.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for pushing the test as well.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Not a problem at all.
Have a nice one.
All right. Thank you. The same.
Finished. Thank you.
All right. Not a problem. You have a good one. All right. That's it. All right. You guys have a good one. Take care.